This is Press Talk on Television Nigeria. On Press Talk, we engage journalists who will tell us their opinion of headlines that made the news. I am Samuel Akwan, and with me in Press Talk today is Dan Atai and Sylvanus Okwe. Gentlemen, welcome to Press Talk.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, moving ahead, we just move straight to our first headline, where the NLC have asked governors to vacate office if they are not ready to pay the minimum wage. Can this happen in Nigeria, Mr. Dan?
Yeah, it's a very good thing, and I think they may not vacate if the State Assembly, we have established law, which is an arm, that is the legislative arm at the state level, want a governor to be out of office. Impeachment proceeding could be, initiated. But if the NSC say they should vacate on their own, it is because of the anger that some governors probably may not be able to meet the deadline of paying them the minimum wage. You understand? However, if the NLC, that is the Nigerian Labour Congress, wants to initiate such move against erring governors or governors who may default.
Please, the NLC, they even pleaded with the state assemblies to facilitate the process of removing governors.
Only when
who are not ready to pay the minimum wage.
Only when, if the state assembly are independent, financially independent on their own. If their emoluments and everything comes from the federal government, of course, President Buhari last year have given a financial autonomy to state assemblies, you understand, state legislative houses. If that order is implemented to the letter, it means state assemblies could have the guts or the audacity to say, let's initiate an impeachment move against governors who are not governing well. Because the name governor means you should govern well. And if you do not govern well, it is the legislative arm that should initiate impeachment move against you, not the type we saw in Kogi State, but it has processes. Even within the plenary, two-third majority, if a motion has been moved against a particular governor, a motion of impeachment is moved, it has to be supported by two-thirds, and then it continues like that until the governor is impeached. But in a situation where most leaders of the House, speakers of the House are puppets of the sitting governors, how would that be possible in our nation? This is why we say we are still crying for democracy to thrive in our nation. I wouldn't have much to say. Let me allow my friends to...
Sylvanus, now, with the resources available to each state, resources now in terms of the IGR and other natural resources each of these states has, don't you think paying 30,000 minimum wage shouldn't be an issue?
Well, let me start by saying that for today, I will align with the thoughts of my co-discussant, who has said that to be a governor, you must govern well. Coming to resources, we know that the business of being in governance is to positively impact in the lives of the citizens. And we also know that all fingers are not equal. Most states don't generate a lot of money. They can't be at par. But then, no states that has no governor in Nigeria with the political will, with the sincerity, with the love of the people at heart, will not be able to pay minimum wage. Just recently, in the build-up to this Kogi governorship election, the ongoing campaigns, the Governor Yahya Bello of Kogi State, who is owing months of salary, owing workers, bought Rolls-Royce Phantom for the Ata of Igala just to curry favor from him. We see these governors embarking on wastages. These monies, if they are judiciously put to use, the money they wild, the money they spend on unnecessary issues, they will be able to pay workers up to date as at and when due. the salaries on minimum wage. Because this is a law. And I've heard most of the state governors say they will go to court, that the law will only be applicable to the federal government. They have forgotten the principle of covering the field in law. When the federal government makes such law that applies to every strata of the country, no state can make the law that contradicts such law, even if you think it's within your purview to make your own law with regards to the residual list on the constitution. The exclusive list is for the federal, then the concurrent list is for the DOA. Even if you think it is under the concurrent list that you can make your own law, that in the event of a conflict between the law made by the state and that of the federal supersedes.
Now, Mr. Dan, if this country is going to what some may call true federalism, do you think some of these governors are always making excuses? Will they be put on their toes?
They will be put on their toes. Even right now, it is hypocrisy to say that governors are not generating internally generated revenue. They are. The reason or the reasons why they kept that money aside for them to embezzle and misappropriate is the fact that they have support from the FG. Because the FG is a bucket of a reservoir where federal allocation is being shared monthly. And of course, that federal allocation is mostly from the oil revenue.
Rich state, yes.
Which the oil-rich state generate. However, in a federal system of government where we practice true federalism, that wouldn't happen. But since we said, because we don't know how we were amalgamated and we are one Nigeria today, we have to the resources of the North in time past have been used, for other states to stabilize the economy of the country from the 12 states to the 18 states and now to the 36 states. And we can continue to use the resources coming from the from the GDP, which is oil, largely. We are using it, and then the governors have decided to go solo, not caring about how to use their own IGR, the state IGR, to govern the state. Because they believe that everything must come from the federal account. The federal allocation, you need to see the way governors push to get, even if the governors, the president or the allocation, the federal revenue allocation, mobilization, fiscal commission delays them. Some of them go to court to challenge why they are to challenge the delay, or to challenge even if anything is fall short of that money allocated to them. But even if the allocation goes to the state, the allocations have jurisdiction and what they are meant to carry out at the state level. The concurrent and the recurrent, for instance. Let's even talk about the recurrent list of the allocation that goes to the state, which is to pay salaries. How many governors have obeyed that recurrent list from the FG, knowing so well that it is not their internally generated revenue that is paying the civilians and the public servants in their state? So the law works most time if these governors, are the ones to be challenged by the law.
Thank you. Now, Sylvanus, look at the situation. A situation where a governor always runs to the federal government for allocation. Does it make the governor of that state responsible?
No.
And does it make that governor the administrator of that state?
The one thing we have been clamoring for is true federalism. We have described what we practice currently in Nigeria as feeding bottle federalism. The federal government is like a toddler, is like a baby that goes to be fed. Like when a nursing mother puts pap inside the feeding bottle to feed the baby, that's what happens in Nigeria. And this has gone a long way to diminishing the potency of the states in terms of payment of salaries.
And it's the local government that suffers it.
Yes.
It is not the state per se. So that is why we clamor for parliamentary system.
I will not really align with the thoughts of my co-discussants regarding parliamentary system of government. Okay. But true federalism, physical federalism will go a long way to militating the effects of non-payment of salary and staggering revenue that comes to the states. If when we have every every states of the federation gearing towards meeting up their responsibilities, knowing that they are doing all these things on their own, they don't rely on the federal government, you see them becoming productive because there will be competition. One, Ebonyi State will want to outdo Enugu State. They will start introducing ideas. This current practice makes our governors dull.
Yes.
They are not dull. They know that they are dull because every month the money must come from the federal. Whether they get internal generated revenue or not, security votes, bailout, and these monies are misappropriated. When you don't work for money, you don't put it to judicial.
Just the way we borrow from World Bank and IMF.
You understand? So, but when
we have no reason whatsoever to borrow.
When these governors are all working hard to ensure they make money, to ensure they meet up with responsibilities, you see them using it judiciously.
Yes.
You see them putting these monies to judicious use. But now Governor Yaya Bello earn most of salary. We buy Phantom Rolls Royce for Ata of Igala, give this one 30 million. They have released 10 billion for him for a road repairing federal roads. I traveled through Lokoja on Monday. I did not see any part of the road that was reconstructed.
No, they are yet to start. They are yet to start.
We'll take a short break. When we return, Press Talk continues. Welcome back. This is still Press Talk on Television Nigeria. Now move to our next headline where Buhari extends border closure to January 31st, 2020. It seems there is no going back in border closure, Mr. Sevalis.
You see, the issue of this extension, nobody has really had the proof that President Muhammadu Buhari issued the statement. In fact, Custom came out today to say they don't have any clue as to when borders will be opened. Though this might align with what so many persons have ascribed to the president. But then, what has really been the impact of this border closure on our economy and on the lives of Nigerians? One, to warrant its extension. Secondly, I overheard, in fact, from the news, they said the president extended the border closure as a result of non-compliance to the policies set by the federal government by these countries. But then, you know, in African countries, especially among ECOWAS nations, there is this free transportation of goods. The borders are made porous in such a way that there will be an interstate. The citizens from this country can go there to do businesses, and so all them also will be able to come to Nigeria to do businesses. And it's on the strength of this that there is 90 days. You can be in any of these ECOWAS countries for 90 days without visa. But this thing will lead to a diplomatic impasse between Nigeria and other African countries, just as it has not improved or bettered the lives of Nigerians. It has not contributed to our economy. Its extension will further entrench hardship, hunger, and starvation in the land. The prices of things are skyrocketing. We expected that the president would bring it to immediate halt, but its extension is worrisome. I must.
You want to react to?
Yes, what you just postulated. In a bit, I would love to disagree on the point that says that no impact, no meaningful impact. The impacts are much, because we have seen countries, neighboring countries, and not only within the African continent, countries like Venezuela and others who are saying that they would want Nigeria to open the border, especially on the issue of rice importation. Venezuela have come to beg Nigerian government. Have proposed with them that if you want to bring your rice in, please come into the country. We have the land, arable land, we have the wherewithal, bring your machines and so on, and establish your farms here. If your farms are here as Venezuela farm, from Pakistani farm, Indian farm, the diversification policy from oil to agriculture, Mr. President, would work effectively, and Nigeria will become hub of food sufficiency, which we have been trying to reach. So in a way, the border closure will help local content and local production. And when we say local production, it doesn't mean that it must be Nigerians who are producing it. It means investors can come from overseas to invest here with their machines. And when the machines are here and the industries are, opened, it means it gives jobs opportunities to our people who usually go to seek this job overseas. So the job will remain here with us. So that these are part of the advantages of border closure. And in terms of the African Free Trade area, which 54 countries in in Africa signed the pact, the AFTA. The AFTA, the president and have come out to say clearly that the trade pact and the border closure is not against African, bilateral trade agreement that we entered, because the Africans are not importing or bringing just illegal goods. They are bringing goods on the pact that we have made, established under AFTA. Apart from the ECOWAS Union, we see that Ghana too are crying that Nigeria should open their border. Their borders are open for them, for legitimate business. Our border is not open for them. Our borders are not open for them when they want to bring illegal goods. Illegal goods. For instance, you see people from Ghana. We used to get these alomo bitters to Ogun State, and in the long run, Ogun people started doing their own alomo. So we have difference between Ghana alomo bitters and Ogun State alomo bitters. We also have difference of various soap that Ghana people used to bring to Nigeria here. And so if Ghana people can sell these things and export those things in large quantity, import those things in large quantity to Nigeria here, it means that if they come here legally to do the business, there will be productivity in the nation. Because we trade with them under the Continental Free Trade Zone and area. So it has nothing to do against that. If the border can remain closed for now, it will encourage productivity.
You disagree with his opinion?
I disagree with his opinion. Let me pontificate with arguments, with facts. What he suggested was partial closure. And you and I know, every Nigerian know that the border was totally closed against whether legal or illegal products. And what we have suggested concerned Nigerians is that there are just strict, everything should be vetted before bringing them in. If you have we have immigration service. What are their jobs? We have the custom. What they ought to have done as a government that is concerned and alive to its responsibility was to ensure that goods that come into the country are goods that has not expired, goods that has not been adulterated, goods that will not affect the health of Nigerians. But what the federal government has done was to totally close down the borders against whether legal or illegal.
No, it's against illegal.
Let me land this. I allowed you to finish. Then, secondly, he alluded to the free trade pact. The way the full meaning of ECOWAS is Economic Community of West African States.
I'm even talking about the AFTA, not ECOWAS.
But you mentioned ECOWAS. You mentioned Ghana. Ghana is an ECOWAS country, a member nation.
It's also an African country.
I'll come to you.
So ECOWAS, what the act establishing ECOWAS envisaged a free movement among member countries, which involves free trade between the country. And I don't know what is the foreign policy of this presidency, but the progenitors of this country, President Tafawa Balewa, the Prime Minister of Nigeria, made it clear. He led the blueprints for our foreign policy. He said that Nigeria's foreign policy, Africa is at the center of Nigerian foreign policy. Anything we do, we take member nations in Africa into consideration. And this president has abrogated that understanding that was made in 1961 by the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. And this is what he has rolled back. What we want, African nations have had this understanding. In fact, out of the passion for this free trade, so many persons like Julius Nyerere and late Julius Nyerere and late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the president of Ghana and one of the pioneers of African nationalism, they have alluded that there should be a united country in Africa, so that there will be free trade. There will be all these visa restrictions will be removed. But this president has jeopardized that understanding of African great heroes and legends.
Okay, now, Mr. Dan,
yes.
The statement issued about the border closure, did the statement specify closure of border against illegal goods?
Yes, I read it. I went on air. At first, when I didn't hear well, I was invited at Vision FM, and I explained there I was totally mad against the policy that how can you close border completely. I went against the president. I talked loud. I was even louder than he is.
But if it were to be illegal goods, now the Vietnam,
now
they asked
while I say this, rice is an illegal goods for now.
How is it an illegal?
Because the government bound it.
Is it still banned now?
Yes. Hold on. Then the government bound importation of rice for both Nigerians and people that are trying to export rice into the country. And I criticized the government then that since we do not have food sufficiency and we don't have market hubs for rice.
Please, let us understand you.
But
the illegal rice.
Anything the government has banned.
Is it the foreign rice?
The foreign rice.
The local rice.
The foreign rice.
Is it still banned? From 2015
the foreign rice. The federal government said their policy of diversification into agriculture, we need to produce rice and other agri-produces here in the country, that there should be no need for people to import rice. You understand?
And
I'm telling you the reason why the ban is still going on. The ban on rice.
Starting the security at the border to check.
Hold on now.
Let him learn.
It is on that ground. It is on that ground that the custom chief, the first month, that was August to September. This is October,
This is November.
This is November. Okay, September to October. The custom boss, Colonel Hamid, he said we generated 500 billion naira in just 1 month against, illegal trade, and people legitimize their trade now by paying taxes. So the tax generated from border closure in a month was 500 billion naira. I read it. In 1 month. In 1 month. You understand? Which means it has, against all illegal goods, we will not allow. Legal goods that they used to, how do they call it? That they used to maneuver and enter the country, various borders, we are now getting tax from it. Before,
the
smuggled goods, because they don't used to follow the right channels. They don't follow the right channel. If you come with legal goods and you follow the right channels, you pay demurrage, you pay your taxes, and you are cleared. But in this case, that was what the custom boss said. That since the border is closed against all, the people are beginning to obey the traffic and obey the law of custom laws. You understand? That was what I read, and that was what he said. In fact, emphatically, he was saying it on national TV. I'm talking about Colonel Hamid.
Gentlemen, let's move to this other headline.
So we have advantage to that.
Be very brief about it. Now, the Igbo during the weekend are insisting on 2023 presidency. Now, do you think it is their right to insist on 2023 presidency?
Let me make it quick that it is high time we as a country grow beyond the mutual distrust that has continued to militate against peace and unity in this country. Since the Nigerian Civil War ended in 1970, other parts of the country, especially the north, has found it difficult to trust an Igbo man with power. And as a result of that, since that 1970 till date, no Igbo man has come close to the corridors of power except Dr. Alex Ekweme, who became vice president in 1979 when Nigeria first experimented democracy after a long military regime from 1966 to that 1979. But then, I think for equity, for justice, and for fairness, which are the three precincts upon which Nigeria as a nation was built, it is now time for the Igbo nation to have access to power. Why did I say that? There is this gentlemanly agreement in the constitution of the leading political parties in the country, the NPC and the PDP. This constitution provides that when the North rules for 8 years, it goes to the South. And political parties has obeyed it to the latters, except during the unfortunate demise of one of the best leaders of this country, President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, which made a Southerner to continue after a Southerner. And if it's going to South, the Southwest has had its fair share under the auspices of President Olusegun Obasanjo, and the South House has had their own too under the auspices of one of their sons, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. So now, coming to the South, it should not be contested. It is incontestable that it is time for a Southeasterner to man the affairs of this country.
It is not going to be possible. I'm an advocate of,
Why would you say it is not going to be
yes, possible? The fundamental factor that will count against the Igbo people, one of the fundamental factors is their political party. Igbos are neither in the ruling or progressive Congress, nor in the opposition, one of the vibrant opposition, the People's Democratic Party. Is it the ABGA that the Igbos wants to use, for instance, as an umbrella to become president in 2023? Igbos shot themselves on the leg, not only because of the issue of the Civil War, the Biafran War. It is not only the issue of the Biafran War. It is an issue of this nepotistic character of the Igbos. They created this party within themselves called ABGA. ABGA is good, it's a political party, but does it have the tenacity and the capacity to produce two-third majority or two-third vote from across the 36 states?
This is
that is number one.
Gentlemen, we don't have sufficient time.
Right. Let me react.
No. You will not react again because I am still talking.
Before 2023, we see how this issue plays out. Yes. Now, thank you very much. This has been Press Talk on Television Nigeria, and it has been Sobanu Sokwe and Dana Tai. So join us tomorrow for another edition of Press Talk. I remain your host, Samuel Akpan.